Okay, narcissism and demon possession. For those of you who are staunch materialists, atheists, when I talk of demon possession, automatically you're probably going to go on shutdown and say, oh, that's nuts, that's crazy. That's fine. I mean, there's some discussion on narcissism as to whether it's a mental disorder or whether it's actually a sort of a form of demon possession. Now, many former materialists are, there are many secular humanists in the field of psychiatry that have, started leaning towards the belief that there is some sort of a supernatural entity that actually occurs during certain episodes of narcissism, because there's so much of it that cannot be explained through everything we know so far about psychology and so on and so forth. That's not to say I don't want to make an argument from ignorance. We don't understand it, therefore it must be demons. We don't understand seizures, therefore it's demonic possession. We understand that sort of, I guess you would call that pessimistic induction has been the case in the past. However, there are things about narcissistic personality. I was on Kim Wilson TV. She is really, really good. Kim Wilson TV, I highly suggest going to Kim Wilson TV if you've been with narcissists before. This woman is so good. She has a heart that is so big for people, and she's such a sweetheart of a lady. But as she talks more and more, it's like she gets angrier and angrier, probably about the abuse that was done to her. So when she uses profanity, she does it in a way that is just creative and artistic, and it's, I don't want to say it's beautiful. I know some of you guys are going, hey, wait a minute, you're Christian, you're endorsing that sort of language. I don't think it's the biggest thing on earth. She's using it for poetics and to express a point. But boy, she's funny when she does it. It's like she has this real sweet conversation at the very end, and she'll just call them out for the freaks they are. And when she does drop the F-bomb or call them a name, it's a name that's very warranted for the way they treat people. But she does it with such finesse that I love that woman. I don't even know her. She's so cool. So do go to Kim Wilson TV. She's got some great, great work on this stuff. But anyway, back to demon possession. I do believe there's some sort of a correlation here, because in the narcissists that I have dealt with, I've seen things coming out of them and heard things coming out of them that were seemingly supernatural. For example, I don't want to say exactly who they are. One of them is a person that is very dear to me, very close to my heart. But that emptiness, I guess, allows other things to get in there, because, I mean, his voices would change. The tone of his voices would change. He would say things. I'd seen this man in drunken rages before, several times. For several years, I'd see him in drunken rages. But then something about this, something seemed to have taken him over, where he was saying these horrible, horrible things that were disgusting and evil, that went way beyond what normal human beings in rages do. Attacking family members, attacking sisters, just saying disgusting, evil, hateful, mean comments that were so far beyond just, I'm mad and I call you a piece of crap, or something like that. Like, saying things like, I'd like to watch these two girls slitting each other's throats. And then the voice is changing like 3 different times, and then the eyes. And the other ones I see, it's like, they'll look at you, and one eye will shoot totally to the side where the other one's straight. That's not normal. So there's some question as to whether something else is taking these people over. I mean, if you think about it, they usually freaking hate the whole idea of God with a vengeance. But I'm not saying that there are religious narcissists. Do not say, I am never going to say you will have only atheists or narcissists. That is so not true. Narcissism is a spirit. And I think that spirit is what the Bible refers to as the Jezebel spirit. I've talked about it before. In the Bible, and even if you're not a Bible believer, which I hope one day you will come to be, check out my biblical archaeological videos. They're really, really cool. They have a lot of historical evidence that those events really did take place, like it or not. But even for poetic sake, even assuming it was fictional, which it's not, the story of Jezebel, we do have her seal, we have King Ahab's ring. The idea is that Jezebel would kill whoever she would never take no for an answer. If she wanted to do cruel things to the people under her reign, the prophets of the Bible would say, hey, God says you can't treat people like that. God says you're not allowed to hurt people. She's like, I will have none of it. I'm Jezebel. She'd have them put to death. That's why God didn't like her, because she kept hurting people, and God would send his prophets to say, enough, you can't do that. And then she's like, I must punish you, and she would have them all put to death. And that is why the prophet Elijah had this contest with Baal. prophets of Baal. That's why God had her thrown out of a window by uprising eunuchs, who eventually dogs ate her flesh and crapped her back out. And as I said, she's probably saying, "Oh, the dogs are giving me attention." It's this evil spirit. It's called the Jezebel spirit. And everything about Jezebel reeks of narcissism. She wants a plot of land. No, King Ahab wanted a plot of land next to the kingdom, and the man who owned it wouldn't sell it because it was supposed to be inheritance for his children, as it was given to him by his father. It was to be passed down. But Jezebel won't take no for an answer, so she has him murdered, takes the land anyway. And F you, God, I, me. Not thy will be done, O Lord. My will be done, you say! I am the fallen one! Yeah, that's the way these idiots think. Now, if they want to go to church and say God and Jesus, I mean, I can stick words on anything, okay? Words mean nothing. I mean, Jesus himself even says that not everybody who says my name will come into my kingdom. That many will say, Lord, look, we've done great things in your name. And he will say, away from me, ye evil spirit. Evil spirit. So there's a spiritual aspect going on here. We could say God and Jesus. We could stab people and say we're doing God's work if we want. But then you look at Jesus when he tells Peter, put away the sword. For he who lives by the sword shall die by the sword. He's the Prince of Peace, not the God of war. The God of war is Horus, which is another archetype of the Antichrist. I mean, that's why Crowley calls him Horus. And Horus says, I am a god of war. Honor me with blood. Honor me with death. Honor me with violence and blood and fire. This is completely contrasting what Christ taught. Put the sword away. Forgive your enemies. Turn the other cheek. Love one another as I have loved you. Be the sons of God, the sons of light, the sons of life. Not the sons of Cain that smashed the head of their brother. Okay, now some of you guys are going to say, what about the violence in the Old Testament? We'll have a theological talk about that. It's not quite as cut and dry as a lot of these straw man arguments like to make it. But the bottom line is God's plan was to reunite all men together in his love and light, not this unification of darkness. But these narcissists, they have an ugly spirit. But they say some things that are just so inhuman. I mean, like I said, I'd hear them talk in 3 different voices. I'd watch their eyes shoot. I'd watch their face contort in ways that shouldn't be so. And now in classic demon possession, they say often they can speak in languages that they normally don't understand in full-fledged possession. I haven't really heard that, but I've seen a lot of the other signs and symptoms that were so similar to noted events of demon possession when people get taken over by these ugly spirits. So, I think maybe they're destroying their brain to a point where other things are getting in there and playing with the leftovers. We just don't know. But they're so mean, but the things they would say are so cruel, so dark, so wicked, so evil, they go way beyond normal humanity. And saying that, I'd like to watch that child get tortured, that's not... Humans don't do that. Another narcissist was telling me that he wanted to be a very objective scientist, and he said, I would catch the mask slipping, and he'd say things like, humanity is a cancer in the earth, we need to get rid of it. Blank stare. Yeah. Face contortion. Oh, for science, of course, and ethically, I would never, I gotta save myself as the good guy and keep the BS facade. And one time we were at the lake, and this kid, I guess, had died. There was a boat accident, and this kid had died. And everybody in the lake felt sad, like, oh, man, that poor kid lost his mom, and there was another kid that had died, and the narcissist sat there with a blank, and then he got angry. Like, everybody was getting upset because these people lost their life. They were empaths. They had compassion. And he was getting angry that they were getting upset, and he makes out the comment, they got exactly what they deserve for not being with a great sea captain like I, and then inserted his name here. And everybody kind of looked horrified, and he's like, of course I really wouldn't want anybody to die. Oh, no, not me. I'm perfect. He literally just said, I'm glad the kid's dead, or they got what they deserved. He made some comment about St. Jude's, and we were talking about having compassion for the kids, and he's like, see, that's nature's way of cleaning out the next fit, the less fit. And you're like, what? And he's like, I'm so compassionate for their... Yeah, right. Look, I enjoy watching little kids with cancer who are sick and crippled die. I get off on it. I really get off on it. I hate humanity. But I'm so compassionate. But then they'll go into this, I think there's something demonic happening. That is not normal. I think there was something demonic with Hitler when he was getting a thrill out of murdering Jews, or Stalin when he was killing all of his people. In fact, It's a known fact that Hitler was majorly involved in the occult. People will say, oh, Hitler was a Christian. First of all, I have no love for the Vatican or that theology. Now, if you're Catholic, I'm not saying you're a bad person or an evil person. I know a lot of my friends are Catholic. They're very, very nice people. I just think that I don't agree with the theology. There's a lot I have problems with it. We can talk about it. I'm not cutting you down. I don't think you're less intelligent. I don't think anything about that. I mean, most Catholics I know are just wonderful people. I have problems with the theology. But putting that aside, Hitler claimed to be a Catholic, and then later he turned to the occult. He was very much into the occult, and he was really big into a lot of the works of the major occultists. He was part of a club that was subscribed to the magazine Ostara, which is Ishtar, or the mother goddess, the goddess of darkness and black magic. If you know anything about the occult, you know who the great mother. No, she's great. Here's what I say to her: the great mother goddess is the light bringer, the enemy of God. She was worshipped in Babylon, symbolized with an 8-pointed star. She is a serpent. And he was into all that occult stuff. So, hey, surprise that he starts getting all jacked up and offering sacrifices of blood to his mother goddess and saying, oh, well, this is just the final solution. No, they're the same death cults of the ancient Canaanites. But he was getting off on this. Stalin was doing the same thing. Pol Pot, Mao. These were just excuses to offer the mother goddess, the serpent, these blood offerings to hurt humanity. Why? Because this enemy of God can do nothing about God. Because God can't lose, he can't fail, he'll do nothing but win. But if you can't hurt the father, then go after the children. Because that's the best she can do. Hurt the children. So when that spirit of the mother goddess, the serpent, the great Jezebel, pours down into the hearts of these wicked people, these dead men, you will burn, and I want you to be punished. Then be surprised when they wage a whole war against humanity. Because humanity is the reflection of God. Imago Dei, made in the image of God. You can't attack the Father. Destroy humanity. That's why you'll hear people saying, I like hurting people. Yarg! It's her spirit. That's why you have people going, we need to kill off all these people. That's why people are like, I like watching kids die in St. Jude's. That's why you have people cutting up bodies and then eating it and then, having sexual intercourse with the heads. It's all the same spirit at these different levels. It really is. If you look at it from a spiritual aspect. Now, some of you guys might say, well, that's totally nuts. It's just a mental disability. It's just a mental illness. Maybe that's true. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. That's the discussion we're having. Discussion. It's more like a monologue, from monos meaning one in Greek and logos meaning word, thought, idea, or principle. You're very stupid, see, because you believe in God. You know nothing about etymology. No, clearly not. I just shake my big fat butt around and go, I'm stupid, and drink beer and fall off the dock and piss myself and cut down other human beings. Yeah, that's what I do. Anyway, something to think about. Post your thoughts, what you think about narcissism and demon possession. If you've seen any of these weird sort of symptoms, the crazy looks. I remember one day I woke up and I was on this boat, and the narcissist was staring at me with his weird eyes going, like he was trying to figure out this mortal. Like he was some sort of otherworldly being, figuring out what this mortal is. That was creepy, dude. His eyes going every which way. So anyway, let me know your thoughts. Narcissism and demon possession. Maybe I'm way off base. Maybe this is nothing but miswiring. Maybe this is physiological. But to say I enjoy watching children be tortured, or I enjoy hurting animals, or I want to burn the world, or I want to burn, I mean, I get to thinking, what is going on in the mind of these, those kids at Columbine? Those kids at Columbine that went in and asked if people believed in God and Christ and blew their brains out when they answered yes. Talking about, look, he didn't deserve the job that evolution gave him. These people are of an ugly spirit. They had all, the metalheads getting themselves all jacked up. What was going on? And then they killed themselves. I don't know. I think of, the demon that was cast out of the man into the swine, the herd of swine, and went down and they drowned themselves. Seems like there's always this, killing of the body after something else takes it over. I don't know. I really don't know. And then, of course, you have the narcissistic spectrum disorder. You can approach this from the psychological standpoint, too. What is the nature between the spiritual and the physical? The immaterial and the material? The natural and the supernatural? I mean, any thoughts you have, go ahead and post them, guys. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this. I think that philosophy is more about questions than answers. But that's why I like these discussion boards and videos. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Narcissist, demon possession, mental illness. It does seem to have its own thing way worse than a lot of these other types of abuse. But let me know. And go to check out, I would say, check out Spartan Life Coach. A couple suggestions. I like Spartan Life Coach's Richard Grant and his work. Now, he says a few things I don't necessarily agree with. Like, I think he has a different set of spiritual views. But certain things, I think most things he's dead on about. I think he's really got a good grasp of this disorder. Sam Vaknin, I really like his work too, except he claimed that Jesus Christ was a narcissist in an article, and I would fiercely disagree with that. Healing the sick, raising the dead, oh, he's doing it for his own vain glory. No, because he never demanded anyone worship him. They did it of their own free will. But Caesar and Stalin would demand worship on the point of a sword. My kingdom's not of this world, love one another. For God so loved the world. I mean, it's a whole different spirit. It's almost completely backwards. So Vaknin says, I thought that was way off base. I'm sorry. So Vaknin's totally wrong on Jesus being a narcissist. However, he's right on a lot of other things, though. I think he is. But I like, check out Sam Vaknin, Richard Grant and the Spartan Life Coach. You have Kim Wilson TV, which I just love. That's just one of my favorites. There's one called Self-Care Haven. Check her out. She's kind of a cutie. I hope she doesn't get mad at me saying that, but she really is a pretty lady and just seems like she has a really sweethearted spirit about her. And boy, she's a warrior against this narcissistic spirit. I like it. I like it a lot. Who else? Melanie Tony Evans, I think is her name. Has some good stuff, but she's a little too new age for my taste. She has a lot of new age stuff, and I really avoid a lot of the new age mysticism. That does not roll with me. If you're a new age or a mystic, I love you anyway. I do, but I just don't subscribe to your worldview. Jesus loves you. Follow him. But we can still talk, and we will still be friends. All right? Who's the other one? Kim Saeed has some good stuff, and Lisa E. Scott. Couple web pages I'll suggest for you as well. I think it's Life After Narcissistic Abuse. Stop the Narcissist. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. It's such a freaking epidemic that it's just, there's so many pages to deal with it because it's such a freaking problem. Later I'll try to do a video on narcissism in the workplace because I've become quite a specialist on that. Anyway, God bless you all. You guys have a great day. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not worth it. You are. Now, don't become narcissistic. Don't deify yourself. I am the measure of all things. That's crap. That's a load. God is the measure of all things, and we are made in his image, and therefore, as we are a reflection of God, we are a reflection of each other, so let us treat each other kindly. Let's treat each other kindly. Let's be good to one another. It doesn't hurt. It's actually pretty freaking cool. And some people will say, well, the good guys are weak, you see. I like the bad guys. Nah, the bad guys are just the losers who couldn't be the hero that kicked down the door and saved the effing day. That's how it rolls. Hey, you guys have a good one. Later.